Hi there, I'm Eitan, and welcome to WiX Fixer. This is Velo 101, or Learning JavaScript Using WiX Code. Today we're going to be learning how to create our first event handlers using a button. So let's get started. Okay, so here you can see that I've added a button to the editor, and our button starts off being called button 4. So if you remember from last time, we should change the names of our elements so that there's something a little more readable to human beings. And I'm going to change this button to click me button. Okay, just so that I know it's a button. And now I am going to select it in my JavaScript code. So if you remember how to do that from last time, I'm going to give you a second to try and do it yourself. And if not, so the way you select it would be $W, open parentheses, open quotation marks, pound sign, and then the ID that we gave it, which is click me button. And first, we're just going to do a short recap of what we did last time, which is setting a property for an element. And what we're going to be doing for this button is setting the label of the button. So as you can see now, the label of the button is just plain old button, but I actually want that button to say click me. So I could change it using the editor by clicking here and say change text and icon. What does this button say? But let's say that I want to use code for some reason. So the way I would do that is by writing dot label and then saying that is equal to click me. And now if we preview the code, then you will see that this button says click me. And now, of course, we want something to happen when you click the button. And for that to work, we need to add something that's called an event listener. And an event listener, as is in the name, is a piece of code that quote unquote listens for something to happen. And that thing that happens is the event. And different elements have different event listeners that we can add to them. And in regular JavaScript, there's a long list of event listeners, and you can also build custom event listeners. But inside of WiX, there is a preset amount of event listeners for each element, and they might not be the same for each element. You need to check the documentation to know which ones are available. But almost all of the WiX elements have a certain event listener that we're using today, which is called onClick, which basically listens for a click on that element. So in order to add the event listener, we need to just select the element, and then we say click me button, and then we say dot, and you can see here, these are all the event listeners. Okay, on click, on double click, on mouse in, on mouse out, on viewport enter, on viewport leave, and we'll touch on more of those later on. But for now, we just want to use the on click. And since this on click is something that is called a function, or in this case, a method in JavaScript, then right after the on click, we need to add open parentheses. Okay, and inside of these parentheses is going to come something that's called a callback function. And I know I'm throwing a lot at you right now, and you don't have to remember everything. Nobody really remembers everything when it comes to coding. You have to look things up and refresh. But basically, what goes inside these parentheses is a function that tells our website what to do when the button is clicked. And the way that you write the callback function is by open parentheses equals and then larger than, and then open squiggly parentheses. Okay, and then we need to write whatever we want to happen inside of this callback function. Okay, and in this case, what I want to do when the button is clicked is I want to console. So I'll console.log button clicked. And that way we know that our button has been clicked successfully. Okay, so now if I preview my code and I click me, you'll see it logs button clicked, and it'll do it every single time that that button is clicked. Okay, so that is how you add an event listener to an element in Velo. I will give you a little bonus here. There's another way that you can add event listeners that is built into Velo, and that is by using this event handlers section here inside of the element information. And basically, this works the same way that this onClick does for the element. And all you have to do is click here on onClick. And okay, so I accidentally had section 2 selected, so I'm going to get rid of that. But I am going to click my button, okay, and then click onClick, and then click this plus sign here to add the event. And you'll see that this gets added as an exported function here on the bottom. And basically, we could also just write whatever we want to happen when the button is clicked here inside this exported function. And that would be console.log button clicked. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to erase this code. Okay, so you know that this is happening over here, and I'm going to preview it. And I'm going to click, and you see that it's still working. Okay, one important difference to highlight here is that you'll see that this exported function is outside of the onReady function. Okay, and this will affect different things that we can do with this exported function. And so often you will still want to use this handwritten quote unquote onClick, even though WiX provides this custom way of handling event listening. So I hope you found this video informative, and I hope you feel really great because you're making great progress. And if you want to see future videos, do subscribe because there's going to be a lot more videos in this series. And it would be nice if you gave a like as well, just to encourage me, and I hope to see you next time.